Hi!
Welcome to the first stream of Day After Day Gaming, where we wanted to show everybody who hasn't seen Gloomhaven yet, do a little unboxing video, show some add-ons that we have for the game, and also maybe the expansion will make a little appearance. We'll see.
Which hopefully will be a lot of fun because I'm hoping to make it to the expansion just because.
So a little bit of background. Day After Day Gaming takes place in Central Virginia, so we're Eastern Standard Time for anybody who wants to watch. We're planning on streaming several of these kinds of videos at least once a week. Probably do some video gaming online and probably show some other stuff. But we kind of want to start with a big name in board games with Gloomhaven. Recently released as well was the Gloomhaven digital game, I believe it was about a week ago, where you can take part in the adventure mode. It does not have a campaign or multiplayer yet, but it is available on Steam for $24.99. I have played it. I'll probably stream some of that sometime this weekend when I get a chance. But in the meantime, welcome to Gloomhaven.
And hopefully you have a lot of fun because I certainly do.
I'm Bobby.
Hi, I'm Kat.
And again, Day After Day Gaming. Welcome for anybody who wants to see. So we're going to go ahead and start unboxing, showing what is in the game. And while we start that process, let me switch the cameras here so we can get a little bit of a big overview now. For those of you who haven't seen the actual board game box, I've seen a lot of streams online showing people playing the game. This box is huge. Huge box.
It's longer than my arm. Actually, no, it's probably the length of my hand to my elbow, but still, it's a very big box.
It is. Weighs between 20 and 30 pounds probably.
Yeah, most certainly. And taking the lid off is definitely a hassle. Because it's certainly stuck on there tight. Though on the front of the box, you can see the 6 main characters that beginners get to start off with. Well, at least in the non-expansion. See, these are the 6 characters right through here. Ranging, they have different numbers of cards, different abilities, and they're all unique, but who'd want to play a character that wasn't unique from their next one? I don't find much fun in that, but that's just me.
One other thing I want to show off today, I'm going to put it right on top of the board game box real quick. This was an add-on that actually came with the Kickstarter campaign for Gloomhaven. This is the player mats. If you buy them, you get them in groups of 4. They are very large. As you can see, they're a little bit bigger than the box. So if you don't have a big table to play on, probably not useful, but for first-time gamers, it'd be very useful for kind of learning the setup and how things work in the game. Otherwise, you can get custom solutions online, or if you have a 3D printer, I've seen some nice 3D printed mats that people have used, or little card holders and things that I've seen people use as well.
So this is the first time opening this box.
Yes, this is actually, I already have Gloomhaven. We've been playing it now, the original version of Gloomhaven, probably for about...
At least 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years now since I got it. This is actually a 2nd edition box. I got an extra one during the last Kickstarter, got some add-ons, and decided we're going to use this one specifically for Twitch. So only Twitch is going to have access to this particular game box.
And I can't wait.
We just opened today, so as you can see, we're going to start here. Right on top is the rule book.
Yeah. The most common thing you'll find in a board game. Always right on top, normally right next to where the boards are.
Yep, it is 52 pages, has a lot of good information in it. Some of it can be hard to follow. Since we've been playing a lot, we're going to go over the rules somewhat in this stream as well, or maybe the next stream. We're probably going to have to do it in 2 parts, just because we expect this to take quite a bit of time to get everything unboxed and worked on.
So the next part we have is a little book right here. One of my favorite things about this game, just because, gives you scenarios. Which scenarios are kind of a big thing in board games because it kind of tells you what you're supposed to be doing in the game.
We'll go over this a little more in detail as well. There are in the book 95 scenarios to play. The expansion adds several more. We'll look at that a little bit later as well. But there's a lot of gameplay. The scenarios, if you read the side of the box, it says it's going to take about 30 minutes per player to play a scenario. I would not trust those numbers.
At all.
Those are probably a little bit low.
Seriously.
For anybody who doesn't own the game and has just been watching players stream online with it, There is a bit of a learning curve to actually setting up the game. First time out of the box, when you're going to put everything away and set up, you're probably looking at about an hour just to get set up to where you can even play your first game. So it's certainly not something that's going to be quick to play.
Oh, heck no.
You know, there are some tips and tricks that we use to try to make things a little bit faster. We're going to go over some of that. But pretty much you're looking at a couple hours just to play a scenario whenever you want to play the game. So for me, I tend to leave parts of it out so I have a quicker time setting things up. If you have a gaming table that has an inset area, you could always store the game under there maybe, and then put leaves on top or something on top to help keep your current state. That would help speed things up. There's also a nice app you can download. Gloomhaven Campaign Tracker, I believe is the name of it. I know it's on iOS. I believe it's also on PC and on Android. But that's a nice way if you're just starting the game to keep track of all your characters, your players, money, all your unlocked achievements, unlocked scenarios. It's a really nice app. I would take a look at it. It is free, I believe, on PC, but I think the iOS had a charge on it, I think. But I'd have to go back and look for sure.
Like, he's still talking. I'm going to bring out the map and just show you how big this thing is. Because it's kind of cool in my opinion, though you probably won't see it all considering how big this thing is. But this is the map of Gloomhaven. You go around multiple different places, and they have little numbers too. Like this is number 1 right here, and here's 2 next to it. But you can go all over this entire map through your campaign, going on different types of adventures, which definitely makes it a lot of fun. But you can even put stickers on these after you win them. But the campaign tracker makes that a lot easier because then you're not having to put stickers all over a board. But that's just my opinion. I'm crazy, though.
For anybody who doesn't want to ruin the look of their game as well, you can also look online. There are some removable stickers that you can get. So you can save some time with that and keep your board pristine if you like by purchasing that. They're pretty cheap. I think they were like 10 to 20 bucks last time I saw them.
These are a lot of stickers. No. Look, there's even more stickers. There's flags. There are so many. There are 3 sheets of stickers, people. This is why I say use the campaign tracker. It makes not having to put stickers on a board a lot easier, in my opinion. Then here's all of our poppable things. And there are quite a few, I must say. This is why we said if it's your first time going, yeah, I'm not going to even count, but there's at least 20, I think. Yeah. I'm going to say there's at least 20 things you have to pop out. And that takes up maybe a good 1.5 to 2 inches of this box, because the box just got lighter.
So just to give you an idea, you have different things on the board. You'll see enemies are kind of these characters here and these characters.
There's some money down here at the bottom.
That is money. Money's important in the game.
Oh, definitely.
These are tags here, the A through E, it looks like, are tags that you can use in the game for showing you where things might be happening in scenarios.
And here's one of the boards that you can play on. There are multiple of these. I think they're labeled A through N, I want to say.
I believe it is, and some of them have multiple numbers, so you might have like an A1, 2, 3, 4 for some of these boards.
And then there's an A and a B, so.
We're not going to pop them out right at the moment, just because that will take most of the stream just doing that. So instead, we'll just kind of show you kind of what some of them look like, and then get on to some of the more important parts of the game.
We're definitely doing this one next. Here's a cool one. This is a boss right here. These characters over here, these are mostly bosses. These are some enemies, whatever about them. These are bosses, and here is one of our mini trackers in the game. This is a tracker of elements. So some players can put elements in the air, some creatures can. And some of your abilities for certain characters also use the elements put into the air. This helps track them. It also tracks how many rounds you're at with this little thing right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. Makes it fun.
So I think we'll skip over most of these other ones, but essentially you'll be popping this out for quite a while.
Yeah.
Well, we can show this board. This one has some good stuff.
Ooh, this one has traps. Lovely. So some boards start off with traps and obstacles, like these right here. Some of these are obstacles that you can either go through. Some of them you can go through, and some are a little harder to get through, is the best thing to say. And then you have traps like these two. So traps can be put into scenarios at the very beginning. Some enemies can put them in, and even some heroes. It's one of my favorite cards by far. Because putting a trap down right in front of a doorway, here comes a monster. Oh no, they get hurt. Makes it such kind of entertaining. Just to see. And then certain things also have, yeah, little treasure chests down here. And these are health tokens right down at the bottom. Here's some this one is a smaller health token at 1. These are 5.
Yeah, they're damage tokens, so when you hurt enemies or you get hurt yourself, you can add them to the cards that will show you once we find where they are. Again, more maps and other things. These tiles are all the playable tiles. There are quite a few of them.
Yes, definitely quite a few.
Yep. I'm just going through a few more here.
Ooh, go to the next one after this.
Go ahead.
Ooh, this one's popped out. Okay, blackboard.
Okay.
Here are some giant money tokens that can pop up sometimes. And here are 4 different types of boards. Here, as you can see. I use some more health tokens down here. And I can't remember what these are for. What are these for again?
I think they're for effects that might happen in dungeon. If you ever need numbers for anything, you can keep track of them with that.
Ooh, here comes one of my favorites. These down here, right down the bottom, are effect tokens. These can hurt or help you, or hurt and help the enemy. So like we have poison, invisibility, and mobility. You know, it's common things that can happen to your mini characters during the game.
Immobilize.
Oh, immobilize. Well, it's still mobility.
This is wound. That's called strengthen. That's stun here, muddle.
Invisibility.
Let's see, that's disarm.
There's more poison.
More poison.
Now here is my favorite one, right here, right here. These things, you can't see these ones over here, but whatever. Yeah, these. These are summon tokens. One of my favorite characters in this game, the summoner.
No. Spoiler alert. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yes, you're right, spoiler alert. Okay, we'll start with a different character. Some of your items some items will help you summon creatures, and some cards, once you get later on, can also help you summon characters. Also, again, sorry for the spoiler.
She's not very good with secrets, so
No, I'm
you just
not.
have to bear with us. This is the last one.
Yes, more enemies, as you can see. These something to do with your summons, but those come later. And we've made it. We've made it to the main box after all the poppable things. Again, if you're wanting to play with your friends and you're first opening a box, it's going to take you a couple hours. Just because in an hour you might not have all those poppables all popped out and organized, if you do organization. And then we have things we can't read out to you yet. These are for when you're starting the game and you're trying to learn, but we don't want to spoil anything for you guys. You guys can probably figure it out, right?
Sure, already did enough, but these are just special envelopes. The game will tell you when you need to open them. Don't worry too much about them right now.
And here is a party sheet. Ooh, and I grabbed something else. Oh no, it's attached to the back. Oh, it's a decoder that might help you. But here is a party sheet. Though, like we said earlier, you can do the same thing on Gloomhaven. What again?
The campaign tracker?
Yeah, the campaign tracker. Sorry, I'm very forgetful. This party sheet is like a paper copy of it, but again, you can use the campaign tracker. It makes some of this easier to track. Locations you've been to, what your reputation is, shop modifiers that you can get when your reputation gets to a certain point, and other achievements and such, and go on and so forth. Would it be a spoiler if I talk about these?
Maybe a little bit. We'll okay. Show it because, I mean, if you open the box, you're going to see them anyway.
True.
You can see it's called enhancement stickers at the top. They're for enhancing some of your abilities later in the game. The book does speak about them, and once you get to a certain point, you'll actually be able to start using them. Town records you can't open. It's closed.
Yeah, but
you can't open that
town
yet
records.
until the book tells you to.
I'm still gonna show them.
Okay.
They're your town records. Again, we can't open them. And then, let's see what's under these giant foam pieces. And if you guys haven't noticed, I'm very chatty. Very, very chatty. Ooh, another very useful thing for beginners and all around people in general, because I really didn't like the old way this happened, but so these are health and experience trackers. So during a round, you start with a maximum number of health. So for giddiness, we say you normally start with 0 experience every round, just because you haven't gained any experience yet at the very beginning. And let's just say you have 10 health points, just because. As you go on, instead of having to use like tokens or anything to count your health, you can just move these back and forth. So let's say I lost 3, move it down to 7, gain an experience point, add 1. Makes it much easier than trying to add damage tokens to yourself or adjust things on your board, which kind of makes it hard because you might hit them and stuff like this. This is a lot easier and you have a less likely chance of messing it up. And you have multiple of them. 1 for each of the 4 players playing at the time.
Which also is a good thing to point out. The game is built upon really 2 to 4 players playing the game. The box does say 1 to 4. There are some solo adventures that you can actually play a little bit later in the game once you get to a certain level, but by default you need at least 2 characters to play. So if you're going to play the game solo, you'll have to control 2 characters from the start.
Can I bring out the 6 main characters?
Yes.
Okay, I'm terrible at this. So I'm going to bring out the 6 main characters you start off with in the game. You're going to talk about this one. I don't know much about the Mind
Thief.
Mind Thief. Okay, I'm terrible with names. Here's the Mind Thief. I have never played him, but he has.
All right, so
And I'll take these away so you guys can pay attention to
in
what
the
it
game,
says.
you, as Kat said, you start with 6 different characters. As you play the game, you'll actually unlock extra characters to play with. There are a total of 17 characters in the game.
Here's what the mind person looks like.
Let's move this box out of the way for a moment.
I already forgot his name.
The Mind Thief.
Yes. Okay.
It says on the back. Just saying. If you paid attention. It also says it on this card right here. See?
As you guys have may seen, I'm not very observant at all.
This is the character card that a player would use that can track all the stats, XP they gain, gold they get, abilities they get later in the game, and so on and so forth. This also is included in the campaign tracker. You can add your characters on there and keep track of them that way if you want to make it a little bit easier so everything's digital if you don't like writing. I still like writing everything down and keeping notes. I just guess I'm old-fashioned that way.
Here's also something else that's kind of useful. These 5 little tokens can sometimes help you with these cards you have right here, which are what you play with. The Mind Thief can have 10 cards. Because some cards have longer lasting effects. And to track them,
Right there.
to make them easier, some of your cards will have things where you can put something on the card itself to track them. This is how you track them. You pop the little tokens out, you put them on top of your cards, and you move them along as you go through. It helps me quite a bit because, as you've already seen, I'm not very observant.
So at the beginning of the game, as players decide what characters they want to play, there are 6 different characters, as we already said, to start with. Basically, you have access to all of the level 1 cards, which there should be 10 of for this particular character, as well as the cards that are marked with an X. So I'll show you kind of some examples real quick. So you have this one is called Submissive Affliction. This is level 1 card. As you may be able to see, hopefully I don't get the glare on there too bad for you, there is a top part and a bottom part. So for new players, essentially this is to show you every round, you play 2 cards. Okay? You will play the top card and a top part of a card and the bottom part of a card at the same time as you're playing. So you have to use 1 top part and 1 bottom part. Okay? Each of them have different abilities. There's some other details we'll go into a little bit later, into more of the rules. We'll explain more how the rules work, but we just kind of want to give you an idea. The whole game is basically played with cards. There are no dice. There's no rolling. You pick your cards. You have what's called a modifier deck, which you'll see here. This is the character modifier deck. You don't use all these cards. You use these that come inside the packs are bonus abilities that give you extra damage, maybe get rid of some of the negatives in your deck or help you out along the way. There's other decks which we will pull out here.
This right here, in the rulebook, it explains that every time you level up, you're allowed to get one of these abilities on the side. Or every time you retire a character and get a new one, you can also get another ability. Or if you guys can see at the very bottom, you see how you can get, there's 6 different areas with 3 boxes each that you can mark. So if you can get all 3 boxes in one section done, you also can get one of these for your character. You choose one out of these to get, like, let's just say out of these, remove 2 -1 cards. You can remove them from your modifier deck. Or you can, let's see, here's add a +2 ice card. See? So at that point, in this little deck right here that comes in your bag, that's inside of the box with the characters, somewhere in here is a +2 ice card, which you will add into your modifier deck, which he's pulling out right now. Though that might take him a few minutes because there's a lot of cards. Oh wait, no, I think he has one right here next to me, right?
That's the monster deck, but...
Okay, well, it still works. This is the monster deck, but most of them look very similar, with things ranging from +0s, +1s, +2s, -1s, and -0s. You also have a negative card, which means no damage, and you have a ×2, which I think you can figure what the ×2 does. It's kind of written on the card. So that's how that works. So I'm going to move to my favorite character while he's busy. So we're gonna push the Mind Thief aside. Well, actually, I probably shouldn't. I probably should put the big character away. But my favorite character and my starting character when I first started playing was the Brute. So yes, I know quite a bit about this character. Like I said, he is my favorite beginning character, but I've only played 2 of the beginning characters, so probably don't want to listen to me. But the Brute, just like the Mind Thief. Hi, I got it right this time. Just like the Mind Thief, he also holds 10 cards. Though the health is a little different than the Mind Thieves, I believe. So down here at the bottom of your card, well, the cardboard character sheet, there is a section right here. The top one is talking about your level, the one in white, and the red one is talking about your health. So for a level 1 character, you can have 10 health points. And it goes up as you level. So the higher level, the more health points you have. Or the more health points you gain, I should say. So the Brute is mainly a physical attacker. So as you can think of, maybe a barbarian in some of the other games is probably the closest thing I can think of, which what you would call the Brute. But yeah, that's mostly how he works, with strength and physical attacks, not so much magic or anything along those lines. So let's see. The Mind Thief, what's his main abilities, Daddy?
The Mind Thief tends to be more of a close-in, stabby rogue character, is the best way I could put it.
This is the rogue character.
There is a rogue character called a scoundrel. They are the actual rogue-style character. But the Mind Thief plays a similar role. They're primarily short range. They do have some abilities that can help them or others do extra damage to other players or give some debuffs or some other things there. But primarily, they're melee characters.
Now, here's the character my mom plays. It is a scoundrel. My mother has been stuck on this character since we started this game because of the quest she got when she first got a character. Oh, we probably should explain that too.
We will. We'll get there.
So the scoundrel has 9 cards, so 1 less than both the Mind Thief and the Brute. But since they're a scoundrel, they're pretty good at looting people, thievery, which I think counts as looting, so in this case. They move around quite a bit, and they're mostly physical attacks. Though occasionally you do have some cards that have some range, just not a lot.
They have a few range attacks, but primarily they're a melee DPS character as well.
Okay, I'm gonna get the next character out. You talk to him.
One thing that we haven't shown you yet are these little boxes. Okay? So as we saw earlier on the punch boards, these little punch out characters are the enemies. As you'll see, they have numbers on them. This one has number 5. So in an encounter, when you spawn them, you actually resolve their actions based on what number they are. So 1 to 5 to 10, depending on what enemy type they are. These little boxes are for your characters. This particular one, you look at the symbol on top, match it with the symbol on the box that you pick up. I'll go ahead and grab this one while I'm here.
You got the Spellweaver.
I did grab the Spellweaver. This is the magic-based range, primarily range class that is in the game. But these boxes are the character tuck boxes for the figures. So each of the main player characters do actually have their own little figure, as you can see here. Pew pew Spellweaver. They look very similar to the pictures on the character boxes.
Very, very similar. If there's any difference between the pictures on the screen and what the characters look like, it's just the fact that some of these have magic in their hands, and then they can't actually put magic in their hands, so they have to make it look a little different just so it works a little better. But you know, that's kind of how these type of things work. So the Spellweaver is a character with she has 8 cards, so I think she probably has the least amount of cards out of the beginning characters.
She does, I believe.
Yeah.
She has some special abilities and some special cards. We'll go into a little more detail later, I think, or maybe in part 2 of the stream. Right now, we just want to kind of concentrate on unboxing and kind of give everybody a little intro to the game, and then showing the other 2 add-ons that we have here, a little bit more detail. And then the next one, we'll probably go over the rules a little bit more, explain how you actually play the game. Maybe we'll do a demo as well, if time allows.
Ooh, which will definitely be fun. So here is the next one, is a Cragheart. Now, I don't know very much about this character because I don't think anyone in my family has played this one yet. But I did look over the cards a little bit, so I do know a few things. They are mostly melee characters, though I guess you count them as kind of the tank in some cases because they're pretty good at healing themselves. Some of their cards heal themselves. Some of them are for protecting others. But they do have quite a bit of melee, and they do have an occasional range spell. So, kind of like an overall character. It may only have like 10 health points at level 1, but they don't seem like a bad character from what I looked at. Yeah, they value power above all else, apparently, according to the back of this.
So, we'll probably go over the characters in a little more detail, as I said, a little bit later. Let's just kind of get through kind of showing the rest of what's open right now to the players.
Okay.
And then we'll go in a little more details about the characters, giving you information as to what kind of each character can do. If you ever want to, start playing on your own,
you'll.
Yeah, that's fine. Open it up. You'll kind of get an idea of what the character types are. We'll help with that a little bit, and then if you have any questions, let us know. So
here's one that my dad. Obviously, I drop it. That makes it great. So here is the Tinkerer. They are mostly a support class, but I can't really talk much about it. He's better at it than me because he's actually played this character.
They are primarily support. They have a lot of healing spells. They have a lot of range attacks, things like that.
So they definitely have the most cards of the beginning characters
They
at
do.
12.
They do.
Though their health points is at an age that's not very bad for a level 1 character.
Nope.
And they're actually pretty cool looking. They look like they're entirely steampunk with a Iron Man heart. Hey, it's true.
It is. I can't fault that. You're right.
So I think he's going to go to something else when I put this away.
Yep. So that's the 6 starting characters. As we said, you get a start. You pick up to 4 players. Would pick one of each of the starting classes, and the game actually scales in difficulty based on how many players are playing at any one time. So even if you can't necessarily get the same group together of players, like let's say 1 week you happen to get 4 people together, maybe the next week you only get 3 of them together, you can drop a player out and the game will just scale based on however many players you have at that active time. So it works really well.
It makes it really easy, so you don't have to have the same amount of characters every single time. That doesn't happen in my house very much. We have either my sister join us, or we have my mother leave us, and it's just him and me. So either we have 3, 4, 2, we're still playing through the entire campaign. It's going very well. Ooh, are we talking about those cards next?
Yeah, I'm not going to open them at the moment just because it's going to take a lot of time, but we do kind of want to show you at least what they are. There are quests that you do in the game. When you're in town and you do something in the town, those are called city quests, which Kat is holding right now.
Yay!
There are quite a few of them. You only start with a portion of the large deck. You don't actually get all the cards to start with. You actually shuffle them out. Then you pick one from the top at random, read what it says on the card, and then generally you get 2 choices on most of the cards of what to do. I don't think I've seen anything that's more than 2 technically, so probably just 2, but I'd have to go back and look through. But you get 2 choices, you pick one of them, and you flip the card over, it gives you an outcome. The only tricky part with the cards there are a couple different symbols, which I'll have to open up one to look at.
They got a tear symbol in
yes,
here.
they do.
Though we don't tear our cards. We don't. That's not something we do.
Yep.
We're like, okay, if we ever want to play through again,
Like in the bottom left corner.
if we ever run out of cards, we don't want to be like, oh no, we have only like less than half of the cards we originally started with, and we're like, oh, we're gonna tear the rest of them.
This game is considered a legacy game, so as you play, you unlock new stuff, and you're supposed to tear up things that you're supposed to tear up, because you're not supposed to use them again. But for replayability, as Kat said, we don't tear up our stuff. I set them in a special area where I store all my cards at, and that way if I ever want to kind of reset the game back to the beginning, I can do that. But feel free. It's your game. Do what you want to with it. I'm not going to stop you. I've seen people play online on Twitch and other channels that actually do tear up their cards. I see them. So if you want to do that, there's no problem doing that. It's your choice. It's your game. It's up to you.
Ooh, I'm gonna explain those.
Okay, we don't want to give away what they are. So
Fair enough. So
just explain the card, but don't give away too much on it, because it would be a spoiler.
okay. So when you first make a character, you will choose one of these cards. I think you get to choose out of 2, right?
Yes, you pick 2 of them. They're basically called personal quest cards.
So this is kind of how you retire your character when you get to that point. So you choose one of these 2 cards, like he said, and you choose one of them to go forward with. And you continue doing this card until you've completed it, and then you can move on to retiring this character if you wish, and continue to make a new character. But these cards are unique because this is how you open up future characters. So there are symbols on each of these boxes. So here's the Tinkerer. So some of the other boxes have different things on them.
I'll show one, but I won't say what it is.
I don't know what it is. We never made that character.
Well, I have, but that's okay.
Made it to a character and I don't know about it?
No, I just know what the character is. That's all.
Okay. That's funny. So this is how you open new boxes and unlock other characters. Yeah. Some of the quests are pretty hard. Some of them are pretty easy. This is the reason my mother hasn't gotten rid of her scoundrel yet. And the reason why I've gone through like 4 characters now. How many have you gone through?
No, I don't know. I lost count.
I've gone at least through 3.
I've done more than you.
Yes, you have. I'm only on like my 4th one. You've gone through
I think I retired 4 or 5 at this point.
at least. You play the most out of all of us.
Well, I can't stop playing the game. I love the game. It's a great board game.
I don't really
As long as you have lots of time to play.
Yeah, it's the only reason I don't normally play. So, we're gonna move these aside as I have explained this. Ooh, monsters!
So this might be a slight spoiler. We're going to do it anyway. Too bad. Don't show the bosses, though. Just grab on the monsters on top. So there are monsters that you're going to see as you play the game. They're on these little square cards.
I'm looking for a not character that you've barely seen yet. Ah, Blackhand?
No, just do like the archer or guard. So while she's looking for one that she wants to show you,
Haha.
I will show these. These are the holders for the monster cards that you fight when you're playing a scenario. As you'll see, this one's numbered 1 through 6. There's another one as well that's numbered 1 through 10. So some of the monsters, I won't say they're easier because, let's face it, they're not really any easier necessarily. But some of the monsters can spawn extras of themselves, or maybe they're fight in big groups. So you might need like the 10 card number for certain types of enemies where there are lots of like little enemies. The 1 through 6 tends to be for most of the main enemies that you fight, and they're just kind of the standard enemy types, and we'll show you how that works.
Oh, and I probably should mention some monsters only come in only have 6 of them, and then some monsters only have like 10 of them. So it kind of depends on which monster you're talking about, because I know like there's a monster that has like 10 of him. Then there's other monsters that have like 3 or 6. So here's a common character I finally chose out of, because you wanted me to. So
You'll get over it.
The way so on these cards there are a front and back, obviously, as you can see. And there are 4 different sections on each card. So here's the much harder side. So we're going to turn it over. So right here is level 1. This is where you start off if like all your characters level 1. So the way you determine the difficulty is, well, there's level 0 too, which makes it even easier. That's like super easy on this game. The way you determine this is you take the level of each person's character who was playing. So let's say my mother is level 2, I'm a 3, and my dad's another 2. You add them all up, which makes 7, and you divide it in half. No, I'm terrible at this. You divide it in the number of players. You divide it by the number of players.
It's the average level of the players.
As you can tell, I'm terrible at this.
That's why I normally run the games. She just plays.
Yes, that's the only thing I'm good at. That's the only thing I'm good at, and sometimes explaining. But as you can see, I'm a chatterbox. So here is a normal character on this side. And over here, the kind of yellower looking color, is an elite. They have special abilities depending. So we're going to cross some of this off. This top section right up the top with the little teardrop is how much health the character has. Next is movement.
It would be easier if you just put it inside one of the sleeves so we can show them how the sleeve works.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I handed you the
He's
sleeves.
right. That'd be much
there
easier.
You go.
See, here's how you put in a lovely sleeve. So next section is how much they move. Below that is how much they attack for, and the next one down is their range. So these also have special abilities for elites in this case, such as pierce and shield. Those are abilities that characters can have. I think you can guess what shield is, and I think you can guess what pierce is.
Well, they may not know. We'll go over those rules a little bit later, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
One thing she mentioned that we didn't really talk about yet there are regular enemies and elite enemies in the game. So the elite ones tend to be harder. Sometimes they have extra abilities that normals don't have, or vice versa. They're shown to be different by different bases. So there's white bases, which are generally for the regular ones, and then these yellow bases over on the other side are for elite enemies, which, like I said, tend to be tougher. You get the same reward for killing them whenever enemies die, unless they're summoned enemies. Regular enemies, when they die, they drop a coin, and the coin value is based on what difficulty you're playing at. So in the beginning of the game, you're not going to get a lot of gold. It's just the way it is. But it's okay. You will make up for it later in the game, or maybe you'll get some treasures along the way. There's a lot of treasures. Almost every single scenario has at least one chest you can open. Although I will warn you, not all of them are good chests. Some are bad chests. So.
Oof, that chest.
All right, continuing on, just to finish kind of rounding out other cards and things we have.
So
these shouldn't be spoilers, so at least show the top card there.
Okay, so you know we said how you said there were personal quests that each heroes had to get at the very beginning when they got their character. Well, these are a little different. They are quests. They're not exactly personal because every time you start a new scenario, so like let's say you're about to start a new scenario, you choose two of these, you choose one of the two. This is how you get check marks, as you can see, these little things at the bottom. You know how I mentioned earlier about the check marks that you can put in to get special abilities, to add cards into your deck? Well, this is how you get check marks. So you choose so you draw two, choose one of them to go through a scenario. If you're able to complete whatever the card says, then you will gain whatever number of check marks is on that card, and you can add them to your character sheet. So, can I say the first one on here?
Yeah, sure, be fine.
Okay, so the only one I can see right now, since I'm not taking these out of the package yet, this one's called Streamliner. Have 5 or more total cards in your hand and discard at the end of the scenario. So this one's kind of difficult for people that have a lot of cards unless you're able to get rid of them by the end of it, or if you have a longer scenario. Kind of just depends. But yeah, so this one's only a 1 check mark. But there are harder ones like only have long rests in the game, which we'll get to those later. And some of these can be worth 2 check marks too, so you can get more than just 1, which can kind of come in helpful, but the problem is they're a lot tougher. So just have to watch out for that. Just kind of depends on whichever one you want to try for. Now I think he's pulling out something else.
I mean, I have to keep pulling stuff out. There's so many items in the box.
Okay, then I'll grab these. Okay, we're going to take these out of the bag.
You're way too excited about that. Whoa. Okay, that's enough. A little creepy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so these little tokens, so you remember how I mentioned earlier about how you have elements in the game that some characters can summon and such. Here are your elements. They're all smack dab in my hand. We have dark over here. I think it's called
Earth.
Earth, okay. Earth, wind, fire. I still want to say ice, but technically it's water. And here's light.
I don't know. I think it could be ice.
Well, it's a snowflake. I don't see it as water.
I know, right?
Like.
I think the abilities are like on frost, this and that. So you could go with ice. I mean, you'll see the symbol. All it does is match a symbol. Say whatever you want to. Doesn't matter to me.
Like I said earlier, some characters are able to put these in the air. Some cards can do it, and enemies can too. And pretty much anybody can use it. So even if you're the one that summoned it, a monster can use it against you. I've learned the hard way. Oof, that was a fun time. So, like I said, these go on that little board I showed you guys earlier, and they normally stay in the not seen area. And when they get put in the air, they go to the strong area, and as the round one, they only stay in the air for 2 rounds, unless put back in the air by somebody. And in the time that they're in the air, anybody can use them, like I've said. And he's going to go to somebody else. And I'm going to put these away.
Yeah, well...
I dropped them on the floor.
Just don't lose it. Like I said earlier, you know, this is... Right now, we're just doing the unboxing. We're explaining a little bit of rules. We're sorry if we're confusing you. Someone just tends to get a little overexcited about some of these games, but...
Obviously.
I do want to at least finish up the unboxing now, and then give you a little bit more intro about the game, maybe explain some of the mechanics, show the other content we wanted to show, and if you have any questions, feel free to post in chat again, and let us know. So, as we said before, there are no dice in the game. Everything's played with cards of some sort. So the enemies have a deck of cards. They actually have little cards that you play. So each one is labeled on the bottom. This particular one I grabbed was guard. They're guards. The guards have different abilities based on whatever's on the bottom of the card. So you would gather 8 cards for each enemy type you're fighting. You would shuffle them, you know, run through, do a shuffle, yay. And then when you're actually playing the game, you would take the top card and flip it. And then whatever is on that card, I'll just show this one briefly. Hopefully you can see it with the glare there, out of the way a little bit.
We can talk to them about something.
What?
What's in the corner of that card?
There's yeah.
Initiative.
We do need to talk about initiative, you're right. We have not explained that yet. The guard card here, as you can see in that corner, hopefully, the 50. This one also says move. It has a +0 and an attack of +0. I'll explain what that is. Essentially, the initiative here.
I'll grab a monster.
You want to grab a character? Okay. 50 is the speed that this particular guard, or that all the guards on the board at this time are going to move at. Okay. If the players have cards that are faster than guards, they would move before them. So the lower number is a faster initiative over the higher number. It goes all the way basically from, I think the lowest I saw was 2 for some of the players, and you can go all the way up to 99. 99 is what's called a long rest. We'll explain that more in the rules when we get there. But again, this is just kind of unboxing. But as you're playing the game and you turn these cards over, you will eventually get to one that has this little symbol in the corner, a little round turn-like symbol. That's a reshuffle. So whenever you get that on any card, it is a reshuffle. They're also on your character decks. So I'll use the monster deck here. The monster gets it too. So on those cards that Kat was explaining earlier, the null and the ×2 symbol that they have the circular symbol in the bottom right corner. So when you draw that card, whichever one you draw, as soon as your turn is over, you're supposed to reshuffle them.
Oh, and so here are some hero cards. I grabbed the Tinkerer just because. Level 1 cards. So there's hopefully no spoilers. But there probably won't be if you play this character. So here's like some simple cards. So since you choose 2 cards and you play the top and the bottom of the cards, of 2 separate cards, you cannot play like the same 2 tops and you can't play 2 bottoms. It has to be a top and a bottom. You're allowed to choose one of the 2 initiatives to go at. In this case, you could either choose 19 or 72. It does not matter which top you are using or which bottom you are using. You can choose either one no matter what. So if I choose this top or this top, I'm still allowed to choose whichever number I want. So sometimes going later in the game can be helpful based on strategy, or going earlier is helpful. Kind of just depends on what you're doing for that match.
And once you declare your cards, you're not allowed to change the number. They're a little bit, slight spoiler, there may be some items that might be able to let you do certain modifications to your numbers, but primarily whatever you pick, you choose your cards before you draw the enemy card. So every player picks their 2 cards, don't show anybody else. When everybody's done, you declare attack, and then you put down your 2 cards, say what speed you're going at. The next player would say theirs as well, yada, 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 all around the table. And then you would flip the monster card to see what the monster does. At that point, you would get some time to kind of strategize what you want to do, maybe how you want to move, or who's going to go before whom. You plan all that out, and then see where the game takes you.
This is how big the stack of monster cards is. All of them. These are all the monster cards, counting bosses and guards and archers like we've shown you, and other characters which we are not going to spoil for you.
It's probably like 30 to 40 different monster types right now.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number handy, but
I can find out.
No, it's okay. We'll get into that a little bit later, possibly. But, you know, just showing the amount of stuff in here, it takes a while to do this. I mean, unless you're going to have a sorting system, you know, the box doesn't come with any bags or any other type of ways to sort. So essentially, this just sits in. I'll bring the box back over real quick. It just kind of sits in a area at the bottom of the box. So hopefully you can see them
over here.
So essentially, you would, in the normal box layout, you'd put these cards.
Right
there. I think. Yeah, that's right. You'd essentially just set them all right here. Now you could try to help yourself a little bit. You could alphabetize them maybe, or come up with some other system. I don't know.
That would be up to you. Envelopes.
Well, we'll show some of our shortcuts we did a little bit later, just to kind of help some players out.
Now we're gonna move this aside because I want to show these. Yeah, we'll start with the top one because we beginning characters get these. These are numbered. So here are your equipment. I'm not showing the camera. Here are your equipment cards, all still in packaging because I'm not going to take them out right now.
You could show the one. It's a starting item, so.
Okay, so we're going to show you the boots that are being shown. These are boots of striding. During your movement, add +2 movement to a single movement. Okay, I gotta say, there's a lot of move in there. There is. So you're allowed to wear one pair of boots, one hat, one helmet or headwear, one chest piece.
For some reason, amulets count as headwear, even though they'd be neck, but I don't know. It's bizarre.
It is. And you get one pair of pants.
No pants. Armor.
No, it's armor, shoes, headpiece.
And then there's also either
weapons.
A two-handed weapon or a one or two one-handed weapons, depending on the weapon type. So you could do like a sword and shield, or you could do a bow is generally two-handed. There are one-handed crossbows that you can get. Then you also get consumable items. That's the other big thing you can get. The consumable items are, depending on what level you are, you would get one consumable item basically at every odd level. So it's half your level, rounded up. So at level 1, you have one item. Level 2, you still have one item because half of that is 1. But at level 3, you'll be 1.5, so you get 2 items at level 3. All the way up to level 9, where you would then get 5 items. However, there are some ways to increase that, potentially with items, or maybe other abilities. But, you know, as you play the game, you would figure that out. So we won't spoil that for anybody. But there are lots of options. I mean, as she showed you, the stack has, I want to say, I mean, the ending number here on this card, I don't know if you can see it right there,
is 133, but some cards come with more than one. Like, this isn't a spoiler because it's a major card you have. Healing potions. There's like 4 of them. Each potion normally has 4 of them. Minor, major.
Don't say all the levels yet. Let them find out as they go.
Okay. What's next?
Okay, so I'm not going to show these cards because these would be spoilers.
Yes.
But I will show you the back of them because you will unpack them if you're unboxing like we are. These are extra scenario cards. So as you play the game, you might unlock chests or get certain rewards that will unlock scenarios. So these are basically side quests that you can do. They may not be part of the regular campaign, but maybe they'll lead to other levels you unlock, or they'll just be special things you can do in the game to enhance your overall dungeon crawling experience.
Here's a very useful tip. These little, there are 4 of them for each player. So we talked about effect tokens earlier. This is how you tell what the effects are. Going down, they show you the picture of each effect. They tell you the name of the thing and what it does. There are 2 sides to this card. And this side has poison, wound, immobilize, disarm, stun, muddle, and curse. We're not going to go into these because you'll be able to read about them when you get the game yourself.
We'll explain them when we go through the rules.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we're going to go
definitely.
through rules in one of these Gloomhaven streams. Maybe not this one. We'll see.
So here's another thing. Here we have shield, retaliate, push, pull, pierce, invisibility, strength, and bless. We'll also talk about those later, at some later point. So those are going to definitely be interesting to talk about because these are so much fun. Well, some of them are. Some of them are more of a curse, especially curse. Oof, I don't like curse cards.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
you should know by now I don't like them.
Well, sometimes you have to take them for the greater good.
Well, yes, for the greater good.
For the greater good.
The greater good of somebody else, not me.
That's right. That's right.
The greater good of the monsters. I'm just the person that is harming. Which, it's fabulous for me.
All right. I think that's pretty much everything else in the box except for these last couple items here. I will show them to you. I will say, though, they're not part of the main campaign. They're kind of like bonus levels, I would say. I'll explain how they work. They're in the book. We'll go over this later. These are basically random scenario packs, I guess you could call them. You would essentially draw a couple cards and make just a makeshift dungeon together. So this would be scenarios not in the scenario book. So, for example, we'll start with the scenarios first. They have letters on the bottom. See how there's an A, there's a B. I think there's an AB too somewhere.
Somewhere in there.
I thought there was.
Okay, I'll go look through you explain.
Oh, yeah, there's one. I found one.
Ah, you found one.
I did. Yay. AB.
Well, I'd be like a failure at this, so.
So essentially, what you would do is you would shuffle the deck, draw a card. So this is like if you just don't feel like playing a scenario, maybe you just want to do a quick game. That's what these cards are for. You just do like a quick level on the side. Maybe it's a side mission that you chose to do on the side. You would take a card, flip it over, and it would show you a layout of a room. So what you would do then, we can show one of these. I don't really think it's a spoiler. So
No, they're not really. They're common things that you'll find in their quick scenarios, which might be helpful if you're just learning how to play the game.
yeah, I would still say start with the first scenario because that one's a pretty good intro. But these are definitely good if maybe you want to get a little bit extra leveling on the side. Maybe you want to try to get a little extra money, or just do something on the side. Maybe you're the only one available right now to play. You want to just do a quick little match. This is great for that. So essentially, on the card, you'll see a bunch of numbers. I don't know if you can see them in the stream or not. There's also a starting point, which is the green area, and then the red point is an exit. And then there might be some special things that happen on the bottom of the card. Each one's a little bit different. Right?
Whee! Back to the deck you go.
To the deck. We're going to leave right here for right now. And then what happens is the red, you might not be able to see it on the card because it was really, really small, but on the red exit where you put the exit door on the map that you place, I mean, first off, this is the tile you have to find, right?
It gives you a letter for what card you do next.
It does. So you would find the corresponding card, the next card of that type as you draw them, to add another dungeon level to. I believe it's 3 of these to finish the scenario, I think. We'll go over those rules when we get that actual rule deck themselves. Also, you may have seen all those numbers. They're numbered from 1 to 12 on the card. You don't only draw the tile. You also draw a monster card.
Yay,
One of these.
monsters! They're so much fun.
Depends on the monster type you get.
Oof, he's right.
So, essentially, you would draw the card, and I'll show this one to everybody. This one has a bunch of little vermlings on it, so for wherever the vermlings show up on the map card, the tile card that we drew, we would place enemies there. There's also a couple gold slots on this one, and a treasure chest you could also use. Also, the other thing we didn't speak about yet was for scenarios. There are symbols on these corners of the characters. So, for example, let's look at number 1 and number 3 in the top, right there. Can you see those? If you can, great. If not, we'll try to show more later. Number 1 is surrounded by these 3 kind of yellow lines at the top left, top right, and then at the very bottom.
Got it.
So you got it? Great. So what those mean is if you're playing 2 players, the top left symbol on the enemy type tells you what you're supposed to place down. So on that particular card, on the 1, you would place a yellow, if you have two players, you would place a yellow, which is an elite enemy, down on that map on whichever tile space, let's show this again, would match that 1. So on this one, the 1 is kind of in the very top center, kind of right below the doorway, the 1 is there. So that 1 would become an elite and be placed on the map tile right there where that 1 is.
Now, I'm going to mention something because number 2, a couple of these have them. You see how there's white and yellow. That tells if they're elite or not. Yellow being elite, white being a normal character. But there's also black. Black means that that character is not on the board. So if I remember correctly, that is right there.
That is the 2-player.
Yeah.
Mark.
So
top left corner is always 2-player.
Yeah. The top left corner of like number 2, you don't have them on board. Same one for 4, 8, and 9 on this card, just happens to be, where you only have 5 characters on the board if you're only playing 2 players. But that does change depending on the number of players, and also change the difficulty. Like on number 7 at 2-player, it's a normal, but then at 3 players, it becomes an elite. Or like number 8, it goes from not having them there at 2 to 3 having a normal, and then 4 having an elite. So it all depends on number of players and such like that. Let me put this back on top.
Yep. So the number 3, as she said, was the top right corner for 3 players, and then the bottom is actually for 4 players. There are some extra rules you can play as well that I've seen people play. There are a bunch of them online. They do discuss them. There are rules for 5 players to play the game. Generally, for the 5 players, 1 player would get like the monster deck, and maybe you'd use the. There's some drawing apps that you can download on the iOS that have the monster decks you can turn over digitally, so you can just like tap those on the phone versus having to have this extra deck. So there are rules for 5 players. I think last time I saw the rule set, it was you take the scenario, you set it up as 4 players, and I think you made everything 2 levels higher than your party was at for their average level. But you can look online. I'm sure you can find extra rules. There are lots of scenario changes online, lots of things you can do. The game basically is never ending, and people are writing new stuff all the time, so it makes it really, really handy for expansions of the game and everything else. Which leads us into the first official expansion for Gloomhaven.
Okay, I'm gonna run off and you can finish this. Actually, just kidding, I'll be right back.
Give us just a moment while I pack some of this back up. The other problem with Gloomhaven is not only does it take a long time to set up, I mean, you know, it's going to take hours just to set up, or just to punch all this stuff out and, you know, sort it, right? It's going to take you just that long to set up. It's going to take you that long to put away. So keep in mind, it is a very, very long start time and a very, very long end time. I'm not going to say it's bad or good. It's just the nature of the game. But as I stated already, it's probably one of my favorite board games at this point, so I'm not going to complain about it. But, you know, just keep in mind, you will be doing a lot of sorting of stuff. Getting there, I promise. Alright, maybe we will put some of that away a little bit later, just so we can finish up showing off some of this stuff here. Oh, let's go back and look at the character kind of board setup briefly here. Move that out of the way a little bit here. So just to give you kind of an idea of an average player setup, you can do this without the mat. You know, definitely not something you have to have. It's good, I think. I've had a couple people who have used it for the first time, and it kind of helped them sort a little bit easier. But certainly not something you need. Like I said, you have to have a big, big table, or you're just going to run out of space. Because not only would this be in front of every single character, you would also have map tiles out. And as you saw, some of the map tiles are not small, right? So you might have to set up rooms that are like 4 map tiles put together. So I'll just quickly punch out a couple of them here. So, I mean, look at the map tiles compared to the size of that board. Here's just 2 map tiles. So let's say if you had to put 2 map tiles together to start making a dungeon, you know, you'd set up something like that. Let's back it up here a little bit so everybody can see. But you may also have other rooms. There could be a room off of this that goes a certain distance out. It could look, could have a totally different shape. You could have something going off in this direction. I mean, the maps can just be huge, or the maps could be kind of small, but primarily they're not small. So just keep that in mind when you're playing.
I'm back.
I don't think anybody missed you.
People, this is my father. Just so you know. Isn't he great?
Of course I'm great. That's why I'm still here. That's why we're doing all this board game stuff today. Because I have a surplus of board games. I do a lot of Kickstarter backings. So I have a lot of unique games. We want to show off some more of them. But by far, this is one of the most requested one that I've seen. I've seen a lot of people play. I've seen a lot of people make mistakes playing. So hopefully we'll go over some of that in one of the streams, if not this one.
Also, it's summer and I'm very bored.
I could see that. So back to this. Let's just kind of give the layout briefly. Just kind of show how you set things up. So the character boards would go in the middle here.
Okay, how about I get one of the characters
You want to get one out?
show
Okay,
them?
that's fine. We can do that.
You can explain while I get all this out, because this might take me a few minutes.
Shouldn't be that long. Wouldn't worry too much about the cards.
True. So we're just gonna pretend there's a modifier deck right up there, but don't actually use those. Do not use those. Those are just the ones I got out of this box so I could show you. They do not actually get used.
Yeah, I have seen people use these decks when they first play, and they make this their modifier deck, and then they fight monsters with that.
No.
They draw, and they get all these bonuses. They kill monsters really easily. Yeah, this is not the deck that's in your character sleeve to play with. This is just the bonus deck you will earn as you play.
From these. This is how you've earned them. That's the only way to earn them, I think.
Well, if you retire characters, you get a free one as well.
Yes, but still, you can only get them from here, though. Once you retire a character, you can choose one of these for free.
Yes.
That's how this works. But we don't need this right now, so that way. So let's pretend we have an item over here. No, actually, technically, all your items go right down here. This is where you consumed items like potions and certain things that can only be used once go. Yeah, here's the special blue ones. These are where items go. This is where, like I said earlier, these are where your potions and other things that are get rid of cards go.
So just to be clear, potions are one use for the encounter you're in. Any item that's consumed and lost, it has this little symbol. You probably can't see it, but it's basically a card-looking symbol with a red X over it. That means once you used it, it's gone for that scenario.
This symbol right here.
Did you find it? Okay, yeah, that's a lost card symbol. I
That
believe
goes
they have
over
a new term for it. Instead of lost, they actually called it something else now too, but I can't remember what it was. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, once you generally use items, they're gone for that scenario, but you get them back the next encounter you play.
So I'm just putting that out there
That's
because
fine.
I want to show one of these. So here are your active section. This right here, this top part, it is a lost card, but it's only a lost card after it's... This is a summoned card, which I've mentioned earlier. This is one of the characters that can summon them based off their cards. This one happens to have a decoy. It doesn't attack, has no range, but it does move 2 and has 6 health points. So it's pretty much just a fleshy shield, or a decoy shield. So this summon stays into play until it dies. While it is in play, it stays in the active section. This symbol right here.
What is that? Infinity symbol, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an infinity symbol with an arrow pointing that away.
That stays for the entire length of this scenario until it dies, or until you can get rid of the card at any point if you want to.
There's also another symbol that is pretty much a circle, you know, like a normal... I'm terrible at this, but it's a circle thing. Which you also have... I'm looking for a card now to show you, but... Oh, here it is. Here's one. This bottom is also a card that stays into play until a certain time. The difference between the infinity symbol and this symbol is that the infinity stays in until, well, the character dies or until it says stop.
Or if the player decides to get rid of it. You
Yeah.
can choose at any point to get rid of the card.
This one specifically says it will only last this round.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them will last a few more than just one round, like it could last 3 rounds for all we know. But only certain cards have their abilities. So it just kind of depends on which ones you're using. Though again, once you've used a summon, you have to lose the card. So if it dies, it goes straight to the lost characters section. Though In this case, you normally get 2 experience points for them. So if you're trying to gain experience points and you have like 1 monster left, occasionally it's a good idea to maybe get rid of some of those cards and do something and get some experience.
That is one way to play if you want to get experience to level faster.
But please only do it if you have a few monsters left. It's not a good idea to lose a bunch of your cards at the very beginning. Never again.
Yeah, we didn't really explain that because that's more of a rule thing. But if you run out of cards when you're playing and not all the monsters dead, or you haven't completed the scenario task, it may not be all monsters dead. It could be something else. But if you end up running out of cards, you end up losing your character. They become exhausted and they can no longer play in that scenario. And if you're the last one and you become exhausted and your task or monsters aren't finished, then you lose that match and you have to play it again from scratch.
Oh, and so just to clarify, up here is where your character tokens go. Those were those little tiny circle things I showed you guys earlier, the ones that came out a little white strip. There were like 5 of them. They go right up here.
Yep.
Some of those active cards that I showed, the infinity symbol or the circle symbol, will use those to count how many rounds. Because like I said, some of them can last for like 3 rounds, but it's a better way to keep track of them by using character tokens to go for it. Right over here, with the symbol that looks like money, this is where your loot goes that you collect. Here's the other way you track your health. This is why I said the health trackers are very useful. You have your health right here, and experience right below it. Red and blue. Obviously, it's kind of obvious, I think. One says HP and one says XP. Hard to miss. You put little tiny blocks on to wherever your health is and you move them back and forth. The problem is if you hit them, they could go anywhere.
Yep.
And it's hard to keep track of them. So, and right up here were these little, well, we're gonna say diamonds just because they're faced that way for you guys. This is where you can get conditions. Yeah, he got it. That's a muddle. This is where your conditions go. So here's muddle and invisibility. Yeah. This is where your condition goes, so I can't say conditions.
Don't look at me, I can say condition all day long. Condition. Oh, I can't either, see? I failed.
See, it's not just me.
Unless I just did it on purpose to make you feel better. I don't know.
What? Okay, we're not
Why
gonna go
not?
there. Okay, whatever. So that's how your conditions work. Okay, I think we finished this. Oh, one other thing. After you've used your 2 cards, they do not get lost immediately unless you've used the lost ability or it was an active card and it's been set to lost because it's now not active. Well, some of your active cards are not lost cards, but some will only be specified as lost cards. Like the top of the summer card from earlier, that is a lost card because it has both the lost symbol and an active symbol.
One other thing we didn't point out yet were these little numbers right where my finger's at. You see a 2 and a 2. You have a 2 attack and a 2 move on the right there. You can automatically use the top part of the card at any point for an attack move. It's always a melee attack. But if you decide not to use, like on that card that we were looking at, the summon decoy, well, maybe you don't want to summon a decoy, right? Maybe if you're next to somebody, you would just want to attack them, and that way you don't lose the card. You can do that. You can just do a 2 attack, or you can just not do a 2 attack, but you don't have to lose the top part of the card if you don't want to. And same thing for the bottom. Like this bottom had a heal, range of 2. I think it was 2. Range of 3, sorry. Heal 2, range of 3. If you decide maybe there's nobody in range you need to heal, maybe you need to move further up, you could use the bottom of this card and get 2 automatic movement to move 2 spaces instead of using the heal. And this one does not have to be discarded, but that sometimes can help you keep cards longer if you don't want to burn them or lose them right away.
And since I never actually got discard, so once you've used 2 cards that are not active cards and they're not immediate lost cards, the 2 cards you've used go to your discard pile, which was over here on the left side of the board. When you've run out of cards, you can either do a short rest or a long rest. Short being you can immediately at the very, very beginning randomly choose 1 card to lose, and it goes to the lost pile. If it is not a card that you want to get rid of, I think you can take 1 health.
You take 1 HP of damage. You draw a different card instead at
but
random.
you have to lose that
Yeah, you have to
card
lose
no
that
matter what it is. So you pretty much get 1 shot and get a good card to get rid of, or 1 shot and get a worse card to lose. So, kind of, you know. Or you can take a long rest, which means you lose a turn and you choose 1 card to discard, but it's not at random at that point.
Technically, you don't really lose the turn. You move at initiative 99. So you still do something during turn, because at the end of your turn, at the end of 99, you would pick the cards you get rid of, and you also get 2 hit points back.
Oh,
You
forgot
heal for
about
2.
that.
Yep. Or with poison, you would get rid of a poison, and with a wound, you would get rid of the wound afterwards and heal. But like I said, we'll go into more of those details a little bit later. Let's finish up the unboxing of the expansion. So if you're for the first time playing, I know, you can't wait.
I can't!
If you haven't played the game yet, and this all seems interesting, maybe it's something you think you might want to do, I would recommend going ahead and getting the Forgotten Circles expansion, because the character that's in here, who's called the Diviner, is actually unlocked immediately out of the box. So therefore, you'd actually have 7 characters to start playing with. And we may, if we start playing soon with this, I believe someone decided she wants to play the Diviner character and try it out. So
It's obviously not me.
obviously, right? Obviously. So we will now open up the box. Ah! Oh, well, that went a lot quicker than I expected. Okay.
Yes.
Good thing I wasn't holding anything sharp. Because somebody was going to get stabbed with that.
Okay, it's a box. I wanted to open it.
So, again, stickers.
Right.
I don't know if they're removable ones yet or reusable ones yet for the expansion. I'll try to take a look at that and let you all know next time. But they do add some new areas. You have to find where they go on the map. I haven't actually looked these up yet. You kind of have to match them by the border and figure out where they go. I'm sure they have a code somewhere. But
some of them aren't hard and some of them are difficult.
Yeah.
Now, here's the rule book and other scenario guide. I'm giving these to you.
Okay.
Yay! As you can see, I'm hyper. Very, very hyper.
Unfortunately for me, that's why I got to keep her busy with board games or something to keep her busy, right?
Or I probably drive him insane. Here's the new...
She already does.
I already know that. I'm just need to drive you insaner. So here's our new sheets of characters. I don't know what half these do yet, so we can't explain a bunch of these. So we can't explain these, or I don't remember what those are.
These might be slight spoilers. Just saying, the scenarios in this book are generally meant to be done. Let's show the book a little bit. Ooh, pretty book.
Purple.
Purple. Everything's purple themed in this one. The scenarios in this book are generally supposed to be done after you complete the main campaign storyline. The main campaign is 50 or 51, I believe, in the regular scenario. So there were 95 total scenarios, and 50 or 51 was the last one. And then once you unlock that, you're supposed to be able to do the scenarios in this guide. So I have not done it yet. There was a new status effect as well. I've looked at this briefly. We'll try to go over a little bit more when we go through some of the rules and such. Regenerate, that new token that you see, the new kind of diamond-shaped pink token right there. Hopefully you all can see it. I'm doing a bad job with that, but I'll try to do better. That's a regenerate. It's a positive condition. You can get a heal oneself action even if you're stunned. And if you take any damage, apparently, the token is removed and damage continues normally. But if you have both wound and regenerate at the start of a turn, the regenerate happens first, then removes the wound and heals normally. So
You even get some new item cards, but since we don't even know what these are are probably spoilers, so we're not going to tell you what they are. But these numbers go all the way up to, there's not a bunch of them like the other deck because it's including the other deck, but this one goes up to 164. And consider we stopped at 133, and there's probably some more cards somewhere. There's also new monster cards in here too. I'm trying to say, so like half of these are monster cards and half of these are items you can get, so it's going to be entertaining when we finally open these.
also, these will be spoilers, so I'm not going to show them. I have looked through them a little bit just to see what they were.
These go in the guide.
There was a...
Don't show those. Those are definite spoilers.
Okay, we'll leave those alone for now. The new monster types we haven't looked at. We would rather save them till later. But there are some cards in here that say, "Halt! This is the back of the deck." But there are some cards in here that actually replace some errata, some misprints that were on some of the character cards. So once you unlock several of the character classes, you may want to see what's in here. Hopefully just don't look too closely at them. Maybe look at them from the back. But they'll fix some of the cards that may have been misprinted or had mistakes in them. So
it ended up being one of my cards, made no sense. And this misprint helped me so much. Here is our little diviner, because I really wanted to get her out.
Do you think the figure's kind of weird because she's like sitting
on a rock?
On a rock, and like, I don't know.
Crouching with her hands like this.
I guess she's practicing yoga. I don't really know what to say about her particular character.
She looks like she's just waiting to like fire a spell at you or something, but I'm not exactly sure what her abilities are, so that's a guess. I barely looked at her. I got a glimpse at her when we first got this, so that was like a month ago.
So they did provide new monster cards. I'm not going to show them to you, but they did provide us a couple extra sleeves as well. You know, maybe other sleeves get worn out, I guess, or maybe they're just more enemies. I don't know, but they did provide 2 extra 1 through 6 sleeves, and they had some extra tokens in case you break any, run out, or things like that.
The box for the designer. Does anybody else think it looks like a hypnotist eye? Like, it looks like it's about to hypnotize you. Just, ooh, stare into my soul and you shall be hypnotized.
Yep. And then this is an E-envelope and a...
I want to say A, but...
I don't know why it would be an A. Yeah, not sure. I'm sure it's somewhere in one of the scenario books. You probably, when you get to a certain point, you could unlock these. We're not going to do it, obviously, right now, but at some point in the future, we hopefully will, once we get to start playing it all.
So, I think that's everything now.
Well, if it wasn't, that was enough, wasn't it? That was like over an hour just kind of showing you what was in the box.
Nope, almost an hour and a half.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot in the game. I mean, that wasn't even setup time. That was just taking out some of the pieces. The setup time is going to...
Well, and explaining, which is probably helpful. But,
Oh, I forgot the book.
Put it this way, people. We didn't even pop out the huge stack of poppables. We just explained how the characters work and how some of the things work. We didn't get to rules. We didn't get to helpful tips yet. We just got to explaining the main parts and showing you the lovely map, which I just pulled a bunch of characters with. Showing you the lovely map, the many characters we have. We showed you the main map and a few other things, but besides that, we didn't get to popping anything. We didn't get to tips, like I've said. We just got to the main part, and it took an hour, almost an hour and a half. That should say something. So, hope you had fun and he's wandered off somewhere. I don't know where he went.
Well, I was going to get...
Oh, he's still in the room.
Of course I'm still in the room. You can see me. So just some kind of tips before you actually go and get the game. This is not for Gloomhaven, by the way. These tokens are not for Gloomhaven. But I would recommend
something like
starting with something like this. You know, they're like little jewelry boxes. You can get them at a bunch of craft stores. Amazon has them. But I would suggest something like this. Or do I have the token items around?
Somewhere. I want to stay on that shelf.
Oh, it's right there. I can't reach it from here.
I got it.
You got it? All right. Cat will get those, but here we'll switch the feedback real quick here. All right. Hey, Gloomhaven. We're back to just one camera. So again, these can be very useful for storing game pieces in. They're relatively cheap, like $10 or less probably. They're always a good idea, good choice if you want to get something like that. Your other option
are these wonderful things, which are very useful because, well, one, I kind of like them better than this thing right here, but it kind of depends on your preferences.
So these, if you ever look for them online, they're called counter trays. Okay? They're generally used for holding counters in different types of board games. This particular one that I got here was a deep one. Okay? So the spaces in them are pretty large, more so than most of the other ones that I have. But they will hold quite a few of the tokens, and since there are about, I don't know, 30 different tokens at least of that type probably, that you could sort them through pretty easily. Hopefully it would help you speed up your game starting process a little bit better. Also good for storing stuff in, as I said. If you have a 3D printer, there's lots of 3D printer things you can find online. I don't have one yet. I'm hoping to get one at some point. I had it right the first time.
I know, but I can't get it closed.
You just gotta push in the middle. It's got air under it sometimes. It kind of locks into place. You don't have locked over here. That's the problem.
As you people can see, I'm terrible at this.
Yeah, I'm normally the one who sorts things in whatever fashion I have.
I'm good at organizing, not putting away.
Right. So for Gloomhaven, I will say I spent a little bit extra money with my first copy.
Can I grab it?
Sure, you can grab parts of it. We might not show all of it on this stream, but at least give you an idea. You can get special storage options. They're generally made online, laser cutting wood and other things. You can get plastic trays as well.
Switch the cameras, Daddy.
All right, we'll switch it back.
I'll show it once I get out of the way of the people.
I'll get a different one while you're showing that one.
So here is one of my favorites. So this is coins over here, health tokens, counter pieces, another counter, summoning tokens, and here are the elements. Then over here you have your effects. So the effects actually pop right off, and they're cute little wooden trays. You can see there's another cute little wooden tray. Very good for organizing. They're really helpful in my opinion. So we actually have some more, which he's going to show off. So here's one where they're actually labeled on top. Probably can't read most of these, but like these say altar trap, hot coals, tables over in this corner. But once you pop the lid off. Okay, sorry, I have to be careful because I don't want to break this thing. But they're nice and they're just the right size for everything. They have enough room to hold everything. Nice cute sizes and all. It's pretty useful. And we even have one for enemies, which he has.
Yeah, this particular one
is seriously useful because it organizes all your enemies separately.
Yeah, I don't know where the lid is. It's around.
But the space has the name, but the lid has also the character names on top of it, so you can tell who is who. Like we got some vermlings down here, and here's some of the
bandits, I think.
Guards in here somewhere. That might be in the other one.
Over here? Guards over here.
Ah, there they are. There's guards and archers over there, which we showed you earlier. Some other characters which you can probably tell, like a skeleton sitting smack dab in the middle. But they're really useful because of sorting purposes. You don't have to go figure out what they're talking about. You can just look on the top of these for what it says.
And since some of these tokens are bigger than like a counter tray, you know, or even these boxes, I found that some of the larger pieces didn't easily fit inside of these areas for storage, or they just kind of got mixed up and they were hard to follow. You had to look for stuff a lot. So it definitely helps with sorting. It takes our game time much less time now to set up. This particular one that I purchased was called Gloomhaven Town. I believe it's still available online. I think it was like 50 or 60 bucks extra. But we definitely like it for sorting. I've seen a couple other versions of this online. I don't remember the names right off the top of my head. You can also get some 3D printed ones, like I said, that some people I've seen use. Or pretty much, you know, it's really up to you. Get whatever you like. I did like the Gloomhaven Town. It worked pretty well. I just super glued the pieces together after kind of taking them out. I did have sand them down a bit to make them a little smoother on the edges. So it did take me a couple days to kind of take everything out and get it to where I wanted it.
But I think it was worth it just because we
Did
found
you show
that
this tray comes out?
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay.
What thing we did learn was, doesn't this all fit in the box?
So it does sort of fit in the box. One other thing that I'll show that I did that wasn't really the way that they did it in Gloomhaven Town that I thought was better for sorting was old-fashioned old CD sleeves. I had a bunch of these laying around.
Seriously,
you know?
bunch.
I did. And I like the ones with the windows. You don't have to use them, but I also have a label maker. So I actually put the name of the monster. Hopefully you can see that.
It's an imp.
It is an imp on top. And what I did with these were I stored the monster cards inside. This particular one has 2, I believe. Yep, 2. And then behind them,
He stored all the
I stored the 8 monster cards. So the only problem with this setup is because of doing this, I can't actually fit everything inside of my Gloomhaven box. But
we have like a separate place to put these. Though again, it's kind of useful because if you didn't have this, you'd be sorting through trying to figure out where each character was. It would take a lot longer for setup.
Yep.
So like right through here, the problem with these little things in here is that the thing, bleh, I keep saying things.
Yeah, I don't know why you're saying things.
The monster cards are kind of a type of material which kind of gets them stuck together because they're kind of slick. At the same time, they're kind of hard to move. So trying to go through them individually to find the monster that you're going to be playing with is kind of difficult. This way, we just need to move it down a little bit and see what the name is on top, and it makes it a lot simpler, in my opinion.
Yeah, the other thing I have that I haven't actually used yet was a file folder. You can get like a plastic file folder that you would store documents in. If you letter them from A till at least N, you could actually store all of the map tiles inside the slots. Like all the A tiles will go in here, all the B tiles, C tiles. That could help you set up map tiles a little bit faster. I haven't done that yet. That is one of the things I'm doing now to kind of help try to speed things up a little more in setting up. Other than that, there's a few more of these little tray items. There's one that holds, I couldn't find it at the moment, it's around here somewhere, but I have one that holds the tiles that you put on the actual map tiles themselves, the hexagon pieces.
Ooh, I got one here.
Oh, yeah?
You keep talking, I'll pop this open.
Okay. But there's a whole sliding area. Well, yeah, that's kind of it. But
oh, there's one. Like, this is a more simple one, but they have normal ones that are just like 1 hex or maybe 2 that are kind of like obstacles. Like, here's a 2.
They're also doors. They have ones that are doors.
I got an altar here.
You should do an altar.
I got an altar. Here's one of the I dropped
that's a pressure plate, not a trap.
Oh, yep, he's right. This is a pressure plate. And here's a trap. Wrong spot. You got a little bear trap right there. And I got a treasure chest. A treasure chest.
Yeah, I don't know why they have silver on one side and gold on the other. Obviously, on all the maps, they're always gold for some reason, but oh well.
It might be that in some scenarios there might be more than one treasure chest.
Well, some scenarios do have them, but some scenarios you also don't get rewards if you get the treasure chest. So.
Okay, I think I did something wrong.
Can't take you anywhere.
I've been at home this entire time. Why is he blaming me for everything?
Well, she's so easy to blame, can't you tell? All right, I think that might do it for us for tonight. Thanks if anybody watched us. Thanks very much for viewing. We're going to continue this stream probably in a few days. We'll see when we get to it again. Next one, we kind of got a little bit of, the unboxing done. We showed you Forgotten Circles, kind of showed you what we do for stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us a line. We'll be back, though, to kind of go over more of the gameplay, maybe go over some of the rules. Maybe we'll show a scenario or two, depending on how much we have time for. And hopefully you can join us next time. We're going to be doing a bunch of these. Gloomhaven's the first one. I also have Madara, which is another Kickstarter game. Actually, I just finished, I believe, second Kickstarter for them. But I do have that full game we're going to be streaming. We're also going to be... Oh, thank you, LeBrule, for joining. Thanks a lot. We're going to be doing a bunch of other ones. I have Resident Evil 2 I'm hoping to stream at some point because I have that board game as well. I also do have the Gloomhaven Digital. For anybody who's interested in seeing the Gloomhaven Digital game, I am planning on streaming that probably the next day or two, if you want to see what that's all about. Some warnings, though. If you like the board game, or even if you haven't played the board game, the Gloomhaven Digital is going to have some spoilers, because they actually have items you don't even see until later in the campaigns of Gloomhaven.
Like much later.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind those spoilers, feel free to tune in. The gameplay is basically exactly like the board game, which I love that they did that. But again, they don't have the campaign. There's no multiplayer till sometime next year. It's early access on Steam. I believe it's $24.99, but it is a lot of fun. Take a look at the videos. Again, I'll be trying to stream that at one point this weekend.
And at some point, I might do some painting figure characters because I have started
Why don't you get the ones you did?
They're right over there.
Oh, they're right in front of me.
Okay, so I was painting. So we are playing a game. We also play a game called Madara.
Which I just said.
Yeah.
Here's the other one. Here's the other one.
So
Oh.
I was painting some of the characters, which these are not finished yet, I must say, but they're close. Because I got all the major painting done for this one, but this one isn't. This one right here isn't finished. So here's my pretty little cavesicle. This is one of the starting monsters in Madara. But at some point, I might do some. Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of what they looked like before.
Here's my lovely new one with red
She's still working on it,
tongue and glowing eyes and all. As you can see, I have a lot of fun painting these things. So I might show some painting. Maybe at some point I hope to get to Gloomhaven because this one's going to be a lot of fun to paint.
There's quite a lot of stuff in Gloomhaven to paint. Since there are like 18 character figures at least. But I don't know, Madara has more figures you can paint.
Yeah, there's in Madara, each monster is a character you can paint, except for like some of the bosses, I think.
Yep. Some of the bosses. But yeah, we'll be showing quite a few other games. I do have the Lord of the Rings dungeon crawling game. I forget what the tagline is. Journey Middle Earth or something. I can't remember what that one's called.
Yeah,
but I do
Journey
have,
to Middle Earth.
Is it? Yeah.
I think so.
We're also going to be streaming Stuffed Fables, which is kind of like a more kid-friendly kind of Gloomhaven game. We're also looking at possibly doing a few other Kickstarters that I got. Maybe the Nemesis game. I haven't actually tried that one yet, so that should be interesting. But yeah, hopefully tune back in, see what else we're going to do. Hopefully we'll be trying to do at least one of these a week moving forward and kind of show some gameplay and get some other ideas. I hope we'll be putting up a poll online at some point or maybe a suggestion box so we can kind of, I'll post some games up there and see what people are interested in seeing. Because, I mean, I have like, 50, 60 board games, half of which I probably haven't even played enough to really do anything. But I hope to get a lot more of the board game stuff done. And again, my Steam account online, I have, 2,000 games in it for something ridiculous like that I don't even play half of them either. So I'm hoping to stream some of that over the next few days. I have some friends who want to do some games soon. Borderlands 3, I'm hoping to play some of that. I do quite a bit of like Conan Exiles on the PS4. I recently just picked up Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I'm hoping to maybe stream that if I can get the HD Connect box working for me. But other than that, thanks much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll keep going with this stream, and if you like it, let us know. Let us know what else you want to see.
And I'll probably come back and join at some point, but he's mostly the one doing it. I just join in occasionally.
Yes. You have school and other stuff to deal with too, but she's around. Again, I'm Bobby.
I'm Kat.
Thanks for watching Day After Day Gaming. Have a good night.
Eat.